Mihaela Tunaru. I work for Bol.com for almost 4 years, and I'm a software engineer in one of the Scrum Teams. We have right about now over 45 Scrum Teams, and I will be sharing my story today from the Scrum Team perspective. Also here with me is Menno, who will be talking about the transformation of the... Oh. Let me take that one out.
Password. Well, let me introduce myself, since he's getting locked on. So, I'm, as Mihaela said, I'm Menno Vis. Joined Bol.com about 6 years ago already. Life goes fast. Time at Bol.com goes fast. And I'm responsible for one of the IT departments at our organization. We call it Think Space, but we'll dive into that a bit later, because it's part of our journey, which we'd like to share with you. Anyhow, so today we're both here to share our story with you, both from a management perspective and also from a team perspective, from a software engineering perspective. And I think we're back on track. We're going to start with give you a bit more insight in Bol.com. And last week I was in a place far away, at least for me, and I asked the audience, whom of you know Bol.com? And it kept quiet. There was one Dutch person in the room, and he raised his hand. So I'm going to ask the question again. I expect a bit more hands in the air. So how many of you know Bol.com? Cool. There's still some person who don't know us. Okay. So thank God, because I made some slides. Yeah, we're back on track. Thank you. So Bol.com. Well, it's not so difficult. Let me see if this one works. Otherwise Mihaela will click. Yeah? Yep. Good. We're a web shop. And not just a web shop, we're the leading web shop in Belgium and Netherlands. And actually a bit more than a web shop. I mean, we've developed ourselves into an e-commerce platform, meaning that we do not only sell our own products, but we also sell products that are delivered via partners, kind of a marketplace type of solution. And already at this moment, 30% of our sales, of our revenue, is provided, is being delivered via our partner network. This is how the website looked like, for me at least, looked like a couple of days ago. For you it will look differently, both because we have personalization in place and because we keep on changing it. I mean, we've grown fast over the years. And we'll get back to that during this story. We've grown fast. I mean, if you look at the numbers nowadays, you have over 6 million customers, 6.4 in Belgium and the Netherlands. We've been, and not only that, I mean, if you look at the number of visits, we have pretty much close to 1 million visits on a daily basis. And if you look towards the end of the year, when Sinterklaas arrives and Santa Claus as well, it's going to be way more. Meaning that we have about 100,000 products shipped each day. And next to that, I mean, we are with 1,100 persons already. Based in Utrecht, we started out in Nieuwegein, then moved to another location in Utrecht. And nowadays we have 1,100 persons working at Bol.com on a day-by-day basis. And out of those we have about 325 IT folks. Meaning that we're not just a web company, we're not an e-commerce organization, we also consider ourselves a IT or a technology company. Because we do need technology to be able to be successful on the short and on the long run. Yeah, I mentioned it, we do have partners selling via our web shop, more than 11,000 at this moment, and growing fast. And we have a couple of pickup points. I mean, we're part of the AOLT organization, so you can order online at Bol.com and we ship it to, among different channels, but also via the Albert Heijns. I've got 2 more slides on Bol.com, especially for those who don't know us yet. So we started out in '99, long time ago, long time before I joined, really small, just selling books, one of the first e-commerce organizations in Europe, and we've been expanding since. So we're pretty much selling everything right now, and if we're not selling it, it might well be that we will sell it in the near future. That's our model, expand whatever we can, make available whatever people want to buy via our platform. Growth. I mean, if you look at the numbers which are just shown, I mean, those are numbers from nowadays. Completely different from a year ago, completely different from 5-6 years ago. In preparing this speech, I told Mihaela that when I joined the company, I got the opportunity to shake hands with everyone at the company. Everyone. I got in first day. Made a walk. We were in the building in Nieuwegein, and actually, I was introduced to everyone who was on board. If you would do it right now, it would take forever. Probably, no, we're not doing it anymore. Right? Just to be clear, we're not doing it anymore. We're doing honest things now. But if you look at growth, I mean, growth has its challenges. I mean, growth means growing pains. I also checked our website, what you can find with the, which books, how many books there are available with the title Growing Pains, and it's 95. So, it's something that other companies are experiencing as well. And we've had our pains, we've had our challenges. And that's actually what we like to share to you today, our journey. And we've called our journey, we've called our initiative to change things around. We've called it Man on the Moon, hence the picture. You see us, on Earth, a very nice building, the largest one of all. Obviously, I mean, we've made the drawing, so that's what we do. We're kind of not really stuck on Earth, but it's getting a bit crowded on Earth. We're in intense competition, but also many more people on board, many more teams, and we needed to change. We needed to change in how we do things. When I joined Bol.com, actually when I became responsible for software development, which was my first role, we had about 10 teams, 10 Scrum teams. We've been an agile company ever since. About 2 years ago, when we started this initiative, we had about, I think, around 20, and now we have 45. And meaning, if you're growing, you have to do things differently. So what's happening? We have more people on board, and I've counted those. So keep on clicking. I've practiced this, I wouldn't say a zillion times, but a couple of times. It's not so easy to keep on clicking and keep on talking, but I'm trying. And Mihaela will warn me when the last person has arrived. We have many more teams on board. We have many more teams, meaning more dependencies, more complexity. We need to align continuously. We're in danger of losing our productivity. We're in danger of moving forward. And this is something which really struck us about 2.5 years ago. So back in 2014. How are we going to do that? What does it mean if we, back then, still remember, 20, 25 teams? What does it mean if we would double the organization again? We had to change the way how we're organized. We had to change the way how we work. We had to change the way how we can be successful as an IT company. Still not there, eh? Quite a bit. For the Dutch persons in the room, those are the Billies. Billy is our mascot, so everyone knows them. You can think, I mean, there are multiple ways to solve the challenge of becoming bigger. One of the things we could do as an organization, if you become bigger and you have more dependencies, and you have more teams, too late, you have more teams, one of the things you can do is, put in more coordination power, or get in more project managers, more managers, I don't like that, managers, more, flow control, process managers, whatever. You can think of all those things, and we've seen it in other companies, but first of all, I don't like it too much. Secondly, you're not really solving the root cause. You're trying to manage around. So I think we should do, not only me, but we thought we should do things differently. We should do things differently in our scaling up. How it works. And we like to be inspired. One of the reasons that we're here for, is that Mihaela and I are here for, not only, also the rest of the colleagues, is to learn from other companies. We've been here a couple of times at GOTO. We've been at other conferences. We like to hear what other companies are doing, what they're challenged with. And if we like to learn and we like to hear, it's also good to give something back. So, but we like to be inspired. And we're not only inspired by other companies or events like this. We take it to the next level, maybe. So we're inspired by this guy, JFK, who I need to get my notes because it's a bit of a long story to share. But he had a famous speech back in 2012 on his trip to the moon. Not his trip to the moon, but what he was planning to do. Because it made us think big as well. You know it? September 12, 1962, Rice Stadium. Know by heart. I don't know the rest by heart. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things. Not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal would serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we're unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win. which is also what we thought. Thank you. So we think big. In order to take us to the next level, we had to take a drastic route. Where's my clicker? We had to really do things differently. So we embarked on our own journey to the moon. And we thought, hey, instead of putting so much focus on, on coordinating, on managing, we really should look at the autonomy. Because autonomy will help us to grow the organization further without too many growing pains. It doesn't mean that all dependencies will be gone. There will still be dependencies. There's still a need to be aligned, which we wanted to organize in such a way that it would be way, way less than in the past. We've been working with Scrum. We've been developing software for, not forever, but for many years now. And we were really successful, but we had to change. So autonomy for us means that a team, look below, teams shouldn't work in the same code base anymore. Meaning that we had to move to a service-oriented architecture. Smaller applications, teams owning an application. Makes it way easier to own that piece of software. It makes it way easier to develop new features because you're there with your team, you can just do it. But also the other way around. If you look at how we migrated or moved our services or our software actually from development to production, we had a Scrum team would develop it, then we would test it, then it would be bundled in a major release. Major release would be accepted, tested, etc., etc. So you had so many persons involved to move to the next, actually to move to our customer, to bring something live for our customers and partners. We thought we could do better there. And again, this is a couple of years ago. We were not so bad. We released, we had a major release every 4 weeks. So what we try to do, and I'm sharing this with you because I will get back to that at the end, but what we try to do is to, what we wanted to achieve is that we both wanted to not really save cost, but we wanted to be cost efficient. We had to be scalable, also from a cost point of view. It's one of my roles as a manager, think about the money part. But next to that, we also knew that we had to grow the organization because we were growing as a company. We saw so many opportunities, and to be able to be successful, we needed to have the right people on board. We still had to deliver benefits or features for our customers and partners. So it was an option just to stop for a while and then continue. No, we had to continue working. Productivity had to go up, at least stay the same. Yeah, and we needed to have some fun. At least I think that's not so bad to do. And that's also why it's the biggest one, because it's priceless. And as said, at the same time, we're not on our own. We're a commercial organization. There's fierce competition going on. We have, even right now, but also back then, we have other companies entering the market, or they're already there. So we had to come up with something that we were changing, but at the same time, we're delivering features for our customers and our partners. Again, we couldn't stop for 3 months, rebuild everything, and then continue. I mean, unacceptable. So, what do? As mentioned, we like to be inspired. So we just looked at the stars. It's nice to do from time to time, if it's not foggy. If the sun is shining. And we looked at this. You know this thing, Have you seen it? Spotify? If you're in IT, you hardly could have missed it, I think. You hardly could have missed it. And what we did actually, we just looked into it. We shared it. We talked about it. But we didn't copy it. We use it as a source of inspiration to become, to really learn from it, like we learn from other things. I'll have to think about it, I will know in a second, because one of the first things we did was reorganize ourselves. In order to be successful in growing the organization, we wanted to move away from a architecture department, a software development department, my team at that time, an operations department. We wanted to change to something different. So we came up with spaces. Spaces and fleets. It's a bit cooler, we thought, a bit more modern than tribes and squads. We think of ourselves as a pretty modern company. So we came up with spaces. And the idea of the spaces is that within one area, so I'm responsible for the top one, for the retail platform space, we as a group of teams, as a group of persons, are responsible for both design, development, so building the software, testing it, releasing it to production, and running it in production. So we really moved to a DevOps model. In order to make it happen, it's not enough to say that you're going to do it. It's not enough to put some tools in place. I think, not only me, we thought it was also wise and a good idea to change the organization and to make it look like that. So we moved to a DevOps setup. So within the retail platform space, we've all capabilities available to run, or to build and run software ourselves. Mihaela will explain what the space reliability team is in a second. And we still have a platform space team for managing the technical infrastructure. And then we got started. And then we kept moving. And now it becomes fun, because now Mihaela can share with, from her own perspective, how it actually is being in a team, going on the journey.
Yeah, now it's time for my side of the story, how it really looks from a Scrum team, from a software engineer perspective. Well, we had, as Menno said, we had to do something when I joined the company. We had 4 weeks releases. The developers, the software engineers, would be responsible for writing the code, for testing it, so just development environment, testing environment. From that moment onwards, the release manager would take over, so from the former operations team. You can imagine you can do that if you have, 10 Scrum teams, 20 Scrum teams, but if you have 45 Scrum teams, that becomes a little bit unmanageable to have such a huge release where there are a lot of things that can go wrong. So we decided to get going. Obviously, we started with phase 0. We're software engineers, that's where we start. And we asked ourselves the question in the Scrum team, what if we are able to actually take production responsibility and do everything on our own? So when it comes to the environments I just mentioned, development, testing, acceptance, pre-acceptance, and production, that would be in the hands of a Scrum team. Obviously, you would still need the operations guys because they have skills that are not yet in the Scrum team. So we split up application level, that would be in the Scrum team, operating system level, that would still stay with the operation guys. So all the infrastructure, they're still their responsibility. But we wanted to have our hands on production. So we asked ourselves, what if we could actually just make it happen? So we were over there, iterative development. So 4-week sprints, we wanted to go right in the middle, continuous delivery. Well, I can tell you right now we're not there yet, but we're very close to it. And yes, this is how it looked like back then. We had a lot of Scrum teams. These are the services and applications that we owned. And we tried to move those services and applications that were developed by those Scrum teams all the way to the moon, all the way to the center, that everyone could just release on their own. And how did we feel about it? Because you can imagine you're not on your own. We're an IT organization, of course, but we're a web shop, so we like to satisfy customers. Software engineers ourselves, we were damn enthusiastic. It was about, getting production rights, right? You get a shortened line to the customer. Who doesn't want that? Everyone wants that. System engineers, is there any system engineer in-house? Because this is how system engineers look to me. They're always straight face. It's like nothing disturbs them. Maybe it's the night shift, no idea. But this is how they look to us. So they're all okay. Probably in the beginning they even thought that we're joking when we told them that we're going to get our hands on production. And business stakeholders, they were very intrigued. They thought, really, is it possible to deploy more frequent than 4 weeks? Because that's what they knew. We were working Scrum from 2009, and that's pretty much that was the rule in-house. Every 4 weeks, you know exactly, you went live with functionality. And this was us just trying to break the rules. So they were intrigued. They were looking for more. And we got started. And you can imagine, moving so many Scrum teams, you can't just make it happen overnight. It was possible when we adopted Scrum in 2009. We just said, well, from Monday, we work Scrum, Agile. So we had external consultants coming in-house, helping us out. So we just shifted. But that was a different kind of organization. It's not a huge organization that we have in today. So we said we're going to do this differently, and we're going to go Agile. We're going to pilot on it. We're going to have 2 front-running teams, just getting all the front wind and diving into asteroids and stuff, and see how it goes. Learn from it and make it better for the rest of the Scrum teams to just come along and join the adventure. So, phase 1. What did phase 1 mean to us? Because we said, well, we're definitely building it, but if we want to go for the other phases, running it and loving it, then this meant that we started deploying on our own, so we got the production rights, but we had our ops engineers still helping us out. So the space reliability team that we mentioned, that Menno mentioned in the beginning, they were the backup. So they were there to help us out. And for this particular phase, because you can imagine, they have been doing this all their life, they're not going to let go to those production rights just like that. They were approving all our changes. For high business impact changes, even if you think about it, we had change advisory board meetings. So they will just gather together in the room. They will decide whether it's safe enough to go to production. And that's how it went. This is the business that I mentioned over there, all excited that we were moving faster than 4 weeks to production. They were all watching, ready for the magic to happen. This is, for example, in my Scrum team. The Scrum team was responsible. One of the services was the product content service. You guys all know the website by now. What that means, we're responsible for all the content information for the products on the website. That means title, descriptions, all sorts of attributes like color, etc. And this is us, production environment, right to deploy all our services. So we were there. And this is the number of executions, for example. The run deck, you can see over here for production environment, it was no longer one every 4 weeks. And what this meant, on how did we feel about it at this stage? Well, the system engineers weren't really happy now, were they? Because instead of just doing their own thing, they would have to just put stamps on every deployment that everyone was doing right now. So this was no way to just stop here. We had to move forward. And we did earn their trust because we were still very enthusiastic. We proved that we can handle the responsibility. Business stakeholders, yeah, what's there to say there? Imagine, for example, when the fingerprint thing came live, we adjusted our mobile app to actually have the users use that functionality. We didn't have to wait for 4 weeks for that implementation because the mobile team was the other pilot team going along with it, so they can just could make it happen. So that was phase 1. Phase 2, yeah, phase 2 was full control. This is how phase 2 looks like. No approval anymore. This is me and my team doing our very first deployment. It's a coincidence with a sunny day outside. That doesn't happen a lot in the Netherlands, to have the two things running in parallel. And we were so enthusiastic getting the rights that we actually done a deployment on Friday. And we normally don't do deployments on Friday because our system engineers don't like the excitement for the weekend coming up. So we said, oops. And we moved forward. Production comes not with a lot of joy only, but also with a lot of responsibility. So we got a physical monitor with looking glass alerting in place. We got a team phone that we would keep with us. So we got the responsibility for the production environment during the working hours. So the ops engineers were no longer responsible. It was really anything that would happen on production would land directly on our plate, the team plate. And yeah, this also happened a lot because the green stuff, what I'm showing over here, yeah, this is the happy flow. But you can also get this. And now this looks exciting, doesn't it? All red and everything. And this is, I think that's the moment when we realized that system engineers, the cool phase, is probably they, I don't know, had to get used to this popping up. Because we for sure freaked out for the first time it all turned red. So that's us over there. Very happy when it was all green, nice and quiet, and freaking out when it would just turn red, because we learned the hard way what has to be done. System engineers, they are back to their original state, no approvals anymore, so they were cool with it. And business stakeholders, well, that's an interesting story, because you can imagine if the Scrum team is responsible, that means that everything that happens on production lands on your plate. That means that you drop everything you're doing, you fix the bug. So there's no one else taking care of it. You have to pick it up. And, well, it's a mindset shift, if you ask me, because that time was spent somewhere else. It was spent in the IT operations organization back in the day, because they had the service delivery manager, and they would look up to see exactly which Scrum team would be responsible, and then you would get it with the tickets, and they would talk to the product owner. So in the end, we do think that this works better, because you get it on the spot. It's your problem, you fix it on the spot. So it's less imposing for the customer. So that's the business stakeholders. It gets them a little bit of getting used to, but they're in a different state right now. I'll get to that. But this wasn't easy, getting this and getting at this stage. Because, and before you jump to any conclusions, this is just an ops engineering mind in a developer body. That's because that's how it felt to us. And that's because it really was a steep learning curve for us. You had to learn all that tooling, monitoring, you had to learn how to balance everything, how to do your daily work, because the company still went onwards. We still had to innovate for our customer. This was just something that we were doing on the side. And we had to be fast in reacting to the alerts that we were getting. We got access to Throck. We had personalized dashboards, for example, for the product content service that we mentioned. You could build your own stuff with whatever needs you had. For example, for the product content service, we had all sorts of metrics on the calls that were important for our web shop, response times, resource management, everything was in there, what was critical. Attached to it, also logging in Kibana. That's also quite important. All sorts of logging, access logs, error logs, you name it. It's all there. Personalized per team also. And yeah, we're still learning. We're not there yet, but hey, we're on the moon because we are responsible as we speak for everything that we develop. And we also celebrate the accomplishments. My team was actually the first team to actually push the production button. I even made jokes back then that I really wanted, you know, you can buy online those big red buttons that you can push, like with, I don't know, 20 people. They freaked out. They said, no, we're not doing that. If the CIO sees you, then they're going to freak out. Let's not make a joke out of it. And this is us enjoying. And this is the team with celebrating the certificate. Menno is also in the picture over there. We had everyone involved. Product owner is also in the picture. And, well, we were the first ones, but we had another 40-something teams that had to move along with us. So we started to share our story within the organization. We used a little bit of storytelling, and we explained to everyone how much easier it is not to have to deploy every 4 weeks and have to gather 4 weeks of code into one giant release. That's, if something went wrong, that meant delays of a few days, fixing, regression testing all over again. It was a nightmare. Now you had your own thing, you could travel fast, light. It was a lot safer. And this is pretty much how it looks right now. If you guys remember in the beginning, we had all our services and applications really at the outskirts. Now we're getting there. And we're not there yet, as I mentioned. Continuous delivery, almost there. We still have some those monolithic legacy applications. Those won't disappear overnight. We're working hard on splitting them up, getting rid of some stuff that's no longer relevant, and just, I don't know, redefining our services. And we're trying to think small also, so in the direction of microservices. And it looks pretty good because we're there. We're sort of loving it right now. It can always be better. We're also still improving all sorts of small things just to make sure that it's smooth for us. We're improving our alerting and monitoring because we would like to have our business stakeholders engaged and involved, especially the product owner. So you can imagine what pops up on our monitors right now, the alerting, it's very technical. Now, I can't have my product owner understand anything of, garbage collection complaining or something like that. So what we want to do, for example, is go to functional monitoring. So then that particular alert, if it's critical, gets translated into business value and what sort of impact really is for the customer. That's the way forward. So we're going that way. And because we're working autonomously right now, and you have your own thing, you're doing your own thing, you build your own dashboards, that gives us the possibility to work with a lot of cool new technology. We use everything from Elasticsearch to Cucumber. Obviously, we automated most of our tests, because you can't do continuous delivery if you don't have that under your belt. So this is what we're really proud of, and it's part of having fun in the Scrum team. And this is how it looks right now. We're getting a little bit of the straight face. I think we're, 2 years later, we got used to the phone ringing. We got used to monitor turning red. What we did learn is exactly how to act fast, to pick it up, have everyone involved, product owner over there, communication with the customer to let them know if something happens. But it's really about fail fast and safe. Basically, business stakeholders, they got their joy back because in the end, they see the results at the customer side. So that's good. And system engineers really get to focus on what I mentioned, operating system level, infrastructure stuff, and building tools for us to use. And this is pretty much my own Scrum team and the journey that my Scrum team went through. But all the other Scrum teams went along with us, as I showed in the previous picture. So we're moving towards the center, towards the moon. And Menno will share with you some of the results that we managed to gather so far in the past 2 years since we have been doing this.
Good. I actually also want to start with the Smiley slide. It's a bit difficult to come up with a Smiley because, as a manager, somehow you have to look cool or under control. Everything's under control. Sometimes on the inside I was a bit worried, as you can imagine. So maybe a bit like the scared picture. Because, hey, it feels like you're losing control. It feels like, you're giving away stuff somehow. And towards the team, I had to be positive. So I had to smile. It also had to be fun. So I couldn't come up with a picture. So I'm just sharing it with you now. So actually it was all in one. But anyhow, if you really look at the results, it's coming, yeah. In hindsight, not in hindsight, I mean, you had predicted it, but I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased. Because it was our ambition to become not only more productive, but also to be able to grow the organization and to deliver software for our partners and our customers way more often. And this is a snapshot. It's actually a snapshot from which we put together. It's not so easy to see because there's supposed to be a yellow, like a yellow thing underneath. But I think the monitor, the monitor is not good enough. But actually, if you look at the number of ITers, and that's this line you cannot see. The number of ITers is not here, but it goes pretty much like this. So we tripled the organization, the IT organization, in 3 years. And we've doubled it since 2014, since we started, since we started our journey towards the moon. So we've doubled the organization. And again, remember, the challenge was, can we stay productive? So in productivity, I mean, it's not so easy to measure. So we've done multiple things. And one of the things we did is look at, are we still delivering software? Are we still delivering features for our customers? Yeah? Are we still finalizing user stories? And it goes up and down, but if you look at it, it goes pretty much on the same level, a bit higher even compared to the number of people we have on board. And even more scary at the beginning, how are we going to deal with incidents? Because in the past, whenever there was an incident, I would go to the service delivery manager. Hey, what's happening? What's going on? He or she would dive into it, go to the teams, maybe go to another team because you went to the wrong team, maybe a third team. But it felt like there's some control. There's a person managing it. There's someone whom I can go to. And in the new situation, a alert pops up. I don't even know about it, and it's fixed, which is good, which is really good. But at the beginning, it's also a bit scary. But if you just look at the number of incidents over time, it really has gone down. And we've had challenges. So you see a bit of a bump, towards the end of last year. October, November 2015. So we had some, we had some more challenges there, but overall you really see it going down, and that trend has continued this year. So we're doing more, with more people. We're delivering way more features to production, and we have less incidents. That's pretty cool. So I can put on my smiley face again as a manager. And the number of releases, I get back to it in a second, because I have another slide on that. Yeah, fun. Remember the slide with the the celebrating Billy, what we wanted to achieve. Not only we as a company, Bol.com, we believe that you really should have fun to be able to be successful, which is applicable for the teams. So this is another team, another team which was not the front runner team, but just one of the teams, who got their certificate, and they're smiley, and not because I asked them to smile for the picture. They were really happy that they could, that they did have and they do have the production rights themselves. And not only they are happy, management is happy, even towards the board. I mean, that's Michel. He was responsible for marketing, so he's a board member. And we actually asked him to, not really push the red button, but push the, I think the enter button or something. Push the button to move a front-end release to production. And it's a bit scary. Not for him, we told him, if you just press there and then it will go fine. And it did go fine, luckily. But he really saw the benefit of being able to move new features faster to to production. Shorter time to market. And that's actually what we try to do. Not only get everyone on board, make everybody aware of why we're doing it. And there's a benefit for all. So this is a graph which shows the number of deployments per week. A while ago, I think half a year ago, something like that. If you look at the white boxes, the white box is the major release we have, and we still have, it was way smaller, every 4 weeks, the Super Bowl. So if you look in the past, if you would have a graph going back way further, you would only see white boxes. Every 4 weeks, a white box. And then what started happening, and we started to deploy more. Every colored box, the color actually indicates a specific service, and the size of the box indicates the number of deployments. So what you see happening in time is that we have way more deployments per week of way more services, and not only that, also a service is deployed multiple times. So we are capable of releasing way more than we used to do in the past. You still see the white box. The white box is still there. It's way smaller now, but it's still there because of the legacy. We're not so old, 70 years old, but we do have legacy or heritage, as someone told me. Software that has been important for our organization is still important for our organization, but we're getting away with it because it's so much easier to deploy a small service. Money. I mean, I like money, but that's more. That's not what it is about. As a manager, I mean, I do have to take care of the spending, which is probably not my favorite topic to do. But the nice thing is that I was really worried a couple of years ago about how can we manage the growth, and do we want to hire those coordinators and those process managers and put more procedures in place and deliver less. So we wanted actually to stay scalable, to double the organization without doubling the IT budget, and we've managed to do so. It's pretty simple if you think about it. If you have less incidents, you have less time to spend on those. So there's time left to become more productive. But so you have actually more. So you maybe need to recruit a bit less. Not so many people. If you have more deployments, also look at the other side. We will benefit from those features. So the customers will benefit from it, and so will Bol.com. If you look at making small changes with less risks, it's also we need to discuss it way shorter. If there are less dependencies, no need to coordinate, no need to talk to each other, no need to spend hours in the meeting room drawing all the dependencies and trying to figure out how we can go live. So the money part is, it was a big thing. I don't think the teams were aware of that, but at the management level we certainly had discussions on it. Besides the whole risk and leaving control, etc. But we've managed pretty good. So I don't consider myself a cat, but I needed something while sitting on the porch, looking at the moon, because that was my dream a couple of years ago, and I still sit on not on the porch, on the terrace, looking at the moon. How come it used to work for us? How come? And I think what we try to explain today as well is that it was not only really pushed by the managers. No, we tried to start it, but very soon we got those enthusiastic teams on board. Yeah? And those teams, we started thinking about how cool would it be if we could do this? How nice would it be if we could deliver software faster? So really the engineers, Mihaela, she's telling me what to do, not the other way around. She's telling me what's important for a team. She's trying to make it happen. It's also easier. Yeah, it's true. I'm not kidding. But we try to endorse it, and we try to, I try, for instance, to convince or to talk to the business stakeholders, to the marketing director. Because it is, also for them, it's a bit afraid. What do you mean continuous delivery? What do you mean DevOps? What do you mean with moving something to production? It will take time, doesn't it? So endorsement management, and also to embrace the business. As shown in the pictures, the business is really on board with this. It's really on board. So what we like to share with you, or not only share, is maybe more a question or a call for action. What are you waiting for? Start moving. That's how we started moving 2 years ago. Start small, think big, or the other way around, think big, start small, start moving. Put a framework in place, so it's not like everything is allowed. There are limits, also from a compliance point of view, if you look at privileges, for instance. But start moving ahead, and the pool will come. The pool will come. And again, that really fits in the company. We should have some fun with it. We've had our great moments. Not only eating pizza, but also move the production in the sun. It's really nice if you see that things can actually change within a company. So where are we now? Because our journey, has it ended? Well, for sure it has not ended, because not all teams have reached the moon yet. They're still underway. I think there's hardly anyone left on Earth. The only things which we left on Earth are the things that we wanted to leave on Earth. Systems that will be decommissioned soon, that we are replacing by newer services. But our journey probably will not end. We've moved to the moon now, which we believe was a great idea for now, and we still think it's a great idea, and we will continue. But who knows what's going to happen? It's difficult to predict the future. So I think we will move on. Somehow we will move on. To Mars, if you think about it. Now that's going to be even cooler. Moving to the moon and then trying to move from the moon to Mars. That's going to be the next big thing. Even further away, even a bit nicer, a bit more dangerous, strange. But I'm pretty sure that in a couple of years from now, we will have moved to Mars with something, and we will be able to get back here and share our story on that one. And then we might have teams left on the moon, not left on Earth, but left on the moon. Think about it. And life can go fast. So 2-3 years, that's it. But anyhow, we've tried to share our story from 2 perspectives. We've tried to give you some insight on what's happening at bol.com, and how we try to work and how we try to move things ahead. I would like to thank you for that, for giving us that opportunity, also on behalf of Mihaela. And I think we have some time for questions. So if you have any questions, just shoot. I think we have to do something with the mic, by the way.
Thank you very much. And also feel free to rate the presentation.
Oh, forgot about it.
Learn from it, of course.
I believe you still have dependencies between teams. Could you tell us something about how do you manage those dependencies?
This is work? Yeah? Hey? Yeah? I don't hear it. Really close. Can I just take it off? I really hate this thing. It's a bit better. It's a bit better. That's cool, standing on top of... well, anyhow. So your question is, how do you manage dependencies? Multiple ways. So first of all, we've tried to organize ourselves in such a way that teams are, that are working closely together, are somehow related. They're bundled in something we call a fleet. So a fleet consists of multiple teams with one manager, with one architect around, which are linked to one business stakeholder. So it's one way to manage, because if there are dependencies and, for instance, choices have to be made on priorities, we can always go to one business person, for instance, to do that. So that's one way. The other way is if you have, if you are embarking on a big initiative and we have multiple teams, trying to come up with their contribution towards, to whatever we have to achieve. I mean, we either have product owners helping out there, Scrum Masters helping out there, and for very large initiatives we do have a project manager. We only have a few of those within the organization. So out of those 325 persons, we have 3 or 4, I think. So that's about that's the number. But if you do need it, yeah, you need to arrange it somehow. But it becomes less and less if your systems are smaller, and also way easier. Good. Any more questions? Over there. Sorry. You may ask, but then you have to ask again.
How do you pass the... Whoa. It's too close now.
I want to do that.
How do you pass the knowledge between the first teams that migrated to towards continuous development and the others who were later in the process?
Yeah, well, when we started and we had the 2 pilot teams, so my team and the mobile team, we gathered our experiences. We had team meetings, what we do with the entire organization. Those are once a month, and we did storytelling, like what we just showed. But also between each other, we had workshops organized. So also workshops organized by us, so to share our experience from a Scrum Team perspective, but also a workshop organized by the system engineers, because you would get training on all sorts of tooling, like M-Dash and Grafana and Kibana and you name it. Everything that was in there, you would get training. Performance testing also, everything.
How often were the trainings?
Well, whenever you would be ready to get started, to move to a new phase, you only had to talk to your space reliability team, because you have a handful of people in there. You would have, I don't know, maybe around 12 to 15 Scrum teams attached to a space reliability team, and in there you have 2 to 3 middleware engineers, you would have around 2 DBAers, some infrastructure guys, and that's really the team. Right. And you can just send a HipChat message. I don't know if you guys use HipChat. That's it. It's a small organization still at heart. We still work a lot ad hoc. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Can we take just one
last question
yes.
then?
You drew the development teams, Scrum teams, and the system engineers as separate groups. Are they still separate groups, or is there some sort of integration that systems engineers are part of the Scrum teams?
Well, as I said, we don't have a lot of system engineers in-house. That was also one of the reasons why we said it's not going to scale up in the future. So it's not necessarily in the Scrum team, but we get the knowledge from them in the Scrum team. And what we do nowadays, so this is like a new initiative with the young professional program, so we have graduates joining bol.com. We actually have them work on assignments with the space reliability team, and then they get to come in the team with even more knowledge than you would normally get, just by working as a software engineer. So that's also a little bit our way.
It's also a bit of a practical reason. Eh? So ideally, you would like to have all skills within the Scrum team. But with 5 persons in a team, having and DBA knowledge and all middleware knowledge, and this is for us the best method. To try to bring as much knowledge across, both ways. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah. One more or not? One more? Oh, sorry. Come to we have a stand.